Hello, this is Angela Anderson. Thanks for joining me for this acrylic painting tutorial. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to paint an ocean arch seascape. We're going to be using palette knife for some of it, but you don't have to do that if you don't want to. I'm going to be showing you step by step how to do it from start to finish. And I've got my husband, Mark, with me.
Hey there, everybody.
He's manning the live chat for us. So if you've got questions during the show, you can post those and we'll try to answer them. Let's get started. Okay, so I'm going to be using a 9 by 12 inch canvas panel. This is the Belgian linen canvas archival canvas board from Fredrix. They are our canvas sponsors. We thank them for those. Let me go over our brushes really quick. We've got a number 12 bright for most of the background work, just a large flat. Got a couple smaller flats for some of the rocks, 2 bright and 4, or 2 bright and 4 bright, and then a number 2 round possibly. I'm not sure if we're going to use all these, but I'm going to have them out just in case. These are the 1/4 inch and 3/8 inch VelvetTouch from Princeton, and Princeton is our brush sponsor. We thank them for providing our brushes today. They don't pay us, they just give us products, and I was already using them, so it worked out good for both of us. It's a win-win. We've also got a few palette knives in some different sizes. I'll show you how to do it with a brush and a palette knife, so if you don't like palette knife work, you can do it with the brush instead, and vice versa. So I've just got a few different palette knives here, from kind of small to large, with the kind of pointy end, and then I've got one that's a little bit more rounded tip, and then kind of a flat scraper. So use what you've got. Doesn't have to be exactly the same as mine. Let's go over our colors here. Got Unbleached Titanium, Titanium White, Quinacridone Magenta, Yellow Oxide, Cadmium Yellow Medium, Phthalo Green Yellow Shade, Teal, Phthalo Blue Green Shade. Teal is just these 2 colors plus white. Ultramarine Blue, Dioxazine Purple, couldn't think of that none. Burnt Sienna and Burnt Umber. Okay. So just basic colors. Use what you have. It doesn't have to be exactly the same as mine. If you don't have teal, you can mix it, ahead of time. I just kind of mixed it so that we had a head start on it. But I'm going to dip my brush in the water really quick and then kind of rinse it off, wring it off the side. And, well, Mark missed it. Okay. So, doing like that. And touch it on my paper towel once just to kind of get off the excess. You do want to add a little bit of water to your acrylic paints because these are heavy body acrylics, so they'll need a little bit of water. If you're using thinner acrylics, you might not need to use as much water as I do, but I'm going to make a mixture of blues just with the Ultramarine Blue and the Phthalo Blue, and I've added white to it. So kind of equal parts of both of those blues, plus white. I'm going to start a little bit dark for the top, and then we'll work down. And let me go ahead and set that aside right there for a second. And oh, that's not focusing for some reason. Hello, focus.
I'll work on that.
Okay. So we're gonna do our horizon line about 1/3 of the way down. So if you kind of just work it. I usually just do my fingers here, but I'm going to go ahead and use a ruler because you do want your horizon line to be straight with a Seascape. Seascape? Say that 12 times fast. All right, I'm going to start at the top here and work my way out, and I'm dipping into water, picking up a little bit more paint. When you first go onto canvas, you probably need to add a little bit more water than you would later on because the canvas is dry. It can really soak up the moisture out of your brush really quickly. So you may find that you're dipping into your water a little bit more often than you will later on. I'm adding a little bit of white. And this paint up here is still wet, so I'm just going just below, picking up a little bit of white, going just below where I want it to blend, right? Add that new color, and then just work it up into the wet paint a little bit. And I'm going side to side so that if I have any streaks, it'll look like they're kind of clouds. or kind of, you know, meant to be there. And I'm going to go ahead and do the sky all the way across. I'm not going to try to paint around our mountains. That's going to be on this side. Yeah, I'm just going to do our clouds first, and then we'll add those mountains in afterwards on top. They're going to have a lot of the blue reflected on them from the sky and the water anyways, so we would have been adding blue anyways.
So, first time live viewer, Wendy,
Yes.
says that this is the Lovers Beach in Cabo.
Cabo, yep.
Interesting. And she has a picture with her hubby.
Oh,
there.
how cool.
So we can paint them in there if we want to, I guess.
Well, she can.
Oh, okay. All right.
I'm adding a little bit of white, and I'm just going to kind of stick in some cloud shapes just right there. Not really spending too much time on these, but maybe just a few little wisps like that, side to side. Most of this is going to be covered up. The only part that's really going to show is like right here and right here. So not really too concerned about it, but I do kind of want a few little streaks in here, and that way it'll look sort of like clouds. All right, now for the bottom part, we're going to start with phthalo blue and a little bit of burnt sienna. And that will create a kind of deep teal color. The burnt sienna will kind of desaturate it a little bit so that it's not quite so in your face party blue. There we go. It's going to be a deeper color back there, and then as we get closer, I'm going to grab some teal, and we're going to have teal kind of in this area right here. And I'm not worried about back here because that's all going to be covered up by that mountain rock formation. So I'm going to grab teal, do all this area with some teal here.
Hey, we're almost done. It's going quick. I like this.
And then I'm going to grab Ultramarine Blue, do some Ultramarine in this bottom area here. It's mixing with all of my other colors, pick up a little bit of water there. So it's going to be all kind of mixed in together. There we go. All right, now yeah, I'm gonna have to have you dry that, hun, for me real quick. Mark's gonna blow dry that. If you
I'll wash and dry it.
Did I say wash?
Yep.
Sorry, I'm working on pain meds here. cold med. There's no telling what's gonna come out. Okay, so this is our Stickman mascot. He's what we pull out when Mark's doing his blow drying. Let me see what we can do here. I guess we'll give him a little rock formation off to the side here coming down. I don't know. That's not working out very good right there, but we'll see. We kind of add something to him every week whenever we remember to, depending on whatever it is we're painting. We're definitely running out of room here, so I don't really have room for a little rock formation there. That just looks like a big, I don't know what that is. I guess I should have done an arch. That would have been a little bit better. Let's do an arch. That way they can kind of maybe tell what that is. Who knows? It's just getting worse, isn't it? Okay, I should have stopped. I'm going to take that off there because I don't want to ruin our beautiful masterpiece here. Don't tell Mark we did that. Here, we'll just hide it. He won't ever know. Thank you, honey.
You're welcome. I didn't empty the dishwasher first, so that's what took me so long.
Okay. Well, I was working on Stickman, but it didn't quite work out, so I'm telling on myself.
Oh no! You gotta have to go back and watch
Told
that.
him not to tell Mark. Well, I tried to add an arch over here, but it didn't quite work out. So we just erased it. We'll just pretend like we didn't do that.
Looks like I'm gonna have to do a new one.
Yeah, you're gonna have to do a new one. We're running out of space.
Okay.
Okay, what are we doing now? Let's see. We're gonna draw. Let me get out my chalk marker here, and so our arch section is really close to the horizon line, so we're not really coming down too far off of that for our bottom of our arch, and it is almost smack dab in the middle. It's just a little bit off center. So if here's our, let me see, center of our canvas is going to be right sort of around the middle part of that arch. So we're going to come just down below it and do kind of a little line across. And let's do over here, there's a little space and some more. Just trying to kind of figure out where to space these out for myself. There's another little space right here for the inside of the arch. These three lines are going to be pretty much parallel. So these will be the bottom parts of our rock formations. So they're pretty close to the top of that. And then there is another section that's just below. Kind of comes in right here and also goes across. And then this part goes all the way up and it just does kind of this zigzag line all the way to the top of the canvas, like that. So this cliff side is really sharp right here. Comes real straight down. And then there is a little section right here of sky peeking out. Right there. And then this one comes in and angles down this way. And right about at the third mark, so this was our third mark here, so right about here, it's going to kind of level out a little bit and come down. And our arch is going to come up like this and over, and then there's part of this rock that's coming down this way, so it's not a circle. All right, so there. This comes down just about halfway through this arch here. It's going to come down and then go across, come back up, right about where this comes up is where this part goes up right here. And this actually goes up higher than this. So there's kind of a rock column that comes down like this, and then there's another section that comes out right here and comes down, and then there's a little part that sticks out into the water right here. All right, so that's our first section there, I think. And then this section here is going to be a little bit easier. It's just going to be a big kind of and it's going to come up higher than this. So this is our, let me see. This is going to come down right here a little bit. Right there. So this is going to come up higher than this part. It's going to come up right about here. And come down like that. Okay. And then there's a little bit of like a crack that comes up like this. And this is just a little bit lower than that right there. All right. Now we're done. No, I'm joking. Now.
Yeah, so if you don't have a white chalk marker, do not use whiteout.
Definitely not. Definitely not. If you don't have a white chalk marker, just use a white pencil or
School chalk.
school chalk. Yeah.
Old school chalk.
Yup.
Get it?
All you need.
Old school. You're welcome.
I'm just trying to get this one right here a little bit better. It's going to come up like that, back down. Kind of goes out like that a little bit. If you're really concerned about getting exactly the same as your picture, you can always trace it. I'll also have a traceable of this once I'm done. I'll make a traceable and it'll be on Patreon. So those are $1 a month for unlimited traceables on Patreon. And if you only want one, you can just sign up and then cancel. You don't have to, there's no penalty for just doing one. Okay, so let me see. I guess I'll use this one. This is the number 4 bright. I'm going to go ahead and fill in some of the rock formation. So we're going to need like an undercoat of some colors. This will be our darker colors for our rocks. So I'm going to make purple with purple and burnt umber here. Like a deep color. And we're going to use this on our rocks and just kind of fill in right along that water line. Just going to tap, pull up.
So I'd like to say hello to everybody.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us. Angela is recovering from her summer cold here.
I think Spencer brought home something from his school.
First week of school.
Yeah. There's no telling. Or it was me going to meet all the teachers. Who knows?
Mm-hmm. Or the store or something. But
who knows? Yeah.
But anyways, we're glad that everybody's joined us today. Welcome. Having some fun. And you mentioned Patreon earlier. We're going to put you to work tomorrow, too.
Yeah, we got our bonus video tomorrow for Patreon. I know, it's a bad week for me to get sick, isn't it? That was yellow oxide there. I just added a little bit of yellow to the color for down there. But yeah.
Why'd you choose this week?
Because it's kind of mid-month.
Okay. I didn't know if you looked at your calendar, see how full it was.
No.
Okay.
Mixing a little bit of ultramarine blue with that burnt umber here. Do this side over here a little bit more gray blue. It actually kind of worked out because this is that dark blue. This will be easier to cover, having this darker color in here. And let's go ahead and pull it all the way up in here. Yeah, we're going to be doing a portrait. We're starting a portrait series tomorrow for Patreon folks. I'll be doing this image right here. So that'll be for the $5 and up level folks. We do a bonus video once a month. So that one is going to be a 2-month series. We're going to do it this month and next month. Probably finish it up next month. So I figure it'll be at least a 4 to 5 hour painting easily. So
you
and
just
some darker crevices here.
you decided not to use my picture.
No, sorry.
What?
Well, we already did a guy. We did Santa, so it's time for the girls to.
Why did you make me wear that floral wreath on my head? I mean, that was a little embarrassing, and now you're not going to use the picture.
Well, I was just,
Okay. I better not see it on Instagram or anything.
Okay. I promise. You're a mess. You can't mess with me when I'm sick. It's not fair.
Oh,
it's
twice as fun.
My brain doesn't think fast enough to keep up with you when I'm not feeling good. It's not right. All right, so just adding some of this dark in a few places. I'm just kind of looking at my picture to see where I'm seeing some of the darkest cracks in our rocks, and I'm just going to lay some of this down. This will just give it a kind of a foundation for underneath. We'll put our highlights. And a lot of this up here is a little bit lighter, so I'm going to go ahead and grab some ultramarine and burnt umber, a little bit of yellow oxide. Make kind of a grayish yellow color. This will be good for our rock up here. Just slightly lighter than, and I can leave some of this blue showing too in some places from the background of the sky. That'll actually be in the rocks in some places, so I'm not covering it up completely. I'm going to go ahead and leave some of that blue showing. Grab a little bit more water, a little bit more of that darker color, and we'll just keep on working on this. Really, I'm just trying to cover up my chalk marks here for the most part. Leave a little bit of the background color showing, and I am doing kind of vertical. If you notice my brush strokes, when I was doing the sky, I was going this way. When I'm doing the water, I'll be going horizontal, but for these rocks, I'm going to be doing vertical brush strokes. And that way, any of these kind of streaks that are showing or anything, we're going to already have kind of a foundation for our background for our rocks, because all of these are going to be kind of being pulled in the, all of our shadows and things are going to be vertical, or cracks and things. All right, so I've added a little bit of phthalo blue here. I'm using some green, so we'll use some green in some of these areas. We need a lot of reflection off the water in some of these, especially in these shadowy areas. A lot of green and blue. Let's go ahead and put some of this green over here. Okay. I'm going to grab some burnt sienna, a little bit of purple. It's got some of this yellow in it, so it's kind of cutting it down. It's not quite pink. Put some of that in here. Put some of that up here. Okay, it's going to look a lot darker than we're going to end up, but don't be afraid of going too dark on here because we really need this dark in order for our lighter colors to show up later. So it's going to look a little bit too dark at first. You'll probably start to question why you're doing it this dark, but you'll see why later. Trust. All right, there we go. And down here in the water, I'm going to go ahead and use some Ultramarine Blue and Purple. I'm going to add some sort of kind of like V shapes sweeping up and back. There's some of these little swells right in here. These ones that are close to us are quite large, so we can do them a little bit bigger. And then as they get farther away, they're going to be smaller and kind of more horizontal. Go ahead and tap in a few kind of just horizontal ones back here. There's sort of a shadow area right there and there. There's some. Let's grab some of the phthalo blue. It's mixed a little bit with the teal color. We'll use a little bit of that in here. And we'll put it kind of on the other side of these. What you doing, hun?
I think the mail lady dropped our mail off at somebody else's house.
Oh no.
And there was a ring at the doorbell and just caught somebody driving away and then opened the door and there was mail stuck in our thing. So,
Well, that was nice of them.
yes, we've got good neighbors here. Okay, so if somebody's asking, how do they join Patreon? So let me tell you. So down below the video, you can click the show more, or there's a little arrow pointing down if you're using a smart device. And there's a link to patreon.com/AngelaFineArt. And you can go in there and you can join. And there's different levels. The $1 level that Angela talked about for the traceables. And then there's a $5 level that's traceables plus the access to the bonus video that we'll be doing tomorrow.
You also get all the reference photos from all and the traceables
Okay.
for that level too. So
Okay, all the reference photos and that. And also that $5 level gives you access to past bonus videos also.
right. Yep.
So you can see them for the last year and a half or so.
Mm-hmm.
There's a $10 level that is all of that plus access to a private Facebook group. And there's additional painting she does in there and
We're working on
chats.
succulents this month.
Right.
So it's usually the video that we do in there is over 4 weeks or so. So we take our time. We do about an hour a day, hour once a week in there. Plus they get to pick a lot of the poll. They take polls and get to pick a lot of the subjects for videos and things. So,
Yep.
All right, I am mixing the yellow oxide with burnt sienna here, and I've got a little bit of the unbleached titanium. And I'm going to show you how to do the rocks with the brush before I switch to using the palette knife, just in case you don't want to use the palette knife. So what you would do is load it up, and I've got it fairly thick with paint, not super thick, but I'm going to very gently just kind of touch it on the canvas to get some of that paint to come off. And I want it to catch the texture of the canvas, so I'm going to kind of skim it in places so that it just barely catches on the texture of the canvas, but doesn't do a solid line. So that's what we're going for, is kind of that sort of broken look that you get with rocks, right? So you would continue to do that through all of the steps that I'm going to be doing now, but I'm going to switch over to the palette knife. I think I want to start with the small one. We'll just see how it goes. We may not end up using the bigger ones, but we'll see. So I'm going to grab some of the unbleached titanium. And some of the ultramarine blue. And I'm going to use that one on this one over here. And I'm just going to, I have kind of spread it out flat, and then you kind of run your brush through so you get a little bead of paint on one side of your palette knife. It gives you a little bit more control working with it. I'm going to do these kind of rocks that are coming down this way. Just kind of skimming that canvas texture. And these are kind of at a diagonal, so I'm going to try to, it's straight up and down, but I'm pulling side to side a little bit. And you can see how you get this really beautiful broken texture. Let's do a little bit over here. It's definitely going to be more stylized. I'm not going to go for super realism. Obviously, using palette knife is a little bit more random than if we were using a brush. So just keep that in mind. Sort of go with the flow. Don't get caught up in really the thing with palette knives. You can't really get too caught up in your expectations of what it should look like. Because it's going to kind of do its own thing most of the time. So just kind of keep that in mind. Know that it's going to be a little bit unpredictable. But that's okay. We're just going to embrace that and kind of happy accidents, right? Bob Ross would say. We're just going to embrace the randomness. And I think that that's why some people just really don't like a palette knife at all, because it is very random. It is a little bit harder to predict, and a little bit can be a little scary. Okay, so making a kind of purple color here. I've got the Dioxazine Purple with burnt sienna and some of that ultramarine blue that we were just using. Add some of that in here. So I'm going for my shadow areas first, just kind of adding some of this in for my shadow areas. The back side of this rock's got a lot of kind of pink and purples. Through there. Let's put a little bit of it over here. And see, as you get more layers too, you're going to get more interesting things happening, because as these first layers dry, they're going to be kind of raised and textured, and so when you put your next layers on top, you're going to get even more interesting things happening. What?
The air conditioner finally turned off. So
I've been waiting
nice.
for it. It's just loud. Okay, so mixing some teal here. Let's put some teal in. I've got all these other colors on here still, so it's other things happening here.
So you
Got
have
some phthalo blue here. What?
you have a video, and I think it's on YouTube, or maybe it's in your Facebook group, can't remember, showing the difference between the different quality paints.
Yeah, that's here on YouTube.
YouTube.
It's called How to Blend with Acrylics, or How to Blend with Different Kinds of Acrylics, or something like that, I think.
Okay. Yeah, because somebody had asked about, comparing for the different use. I think they said they use A2 paints. I'm not sure what that is. So they can check out that video to see the difference between the heavy body acrylics.
Probably
and
a student quality paint, so it's a little bit thinner than this.
Okay.
We got some phthalo blue mixture here. Phthalo blue. I think my arm was in the way there. Sorry. Maybe not. Was it?
I don't know.
Okay. Why are you laughing at me then?
Just the way how you're trying to move your arm out of the way.
I know. It's not really cooperating very well.
So why don't you turn the painting? Is it so you can have the correct perspective the whole time?
I don't know. I'm just... Okay, here. That's better. Okay, just adding a little bit of that phthalo blue. Mixed a little bit of burnt umber with it to get it a little bit darker. There we go. You can see how kind of interesting it's already kind of looking. And we're going to put a lot of the lighter colors on top, so we're still just kind of building up slowly from dark to light. Let's go ahead, and while we've got this phthalo blue out, grab some of the teal and some white, and we'll put in some of our water. And just kind of scraping it up, and then I'm kind of scrub it on side to side so that it has that sort of horizontal to the canvas or to our horizon line. Just keep it side to side. That will, you can also kind of tap it, create some texture. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to pick these spots that are kind of close to these dark areas, and I'm just going to kind of pull my paint up next to them. Gotta be kind of patient with palette knife because it's just may not always come off as quickly as you want it to. here, this whole area in the water is actually got a lot of our yellows in it. So I'm going to grab this area over here that had the yellow oxide and unbleached titanium, and I'm going to put that color in the water over here. What?
People are saying they can see a hanging skeleton to the right of the arch. I'm not seeing it.
Right here? Is that the face?
I don't know.
Looks like the face and the body, maybe?
Maybe. I think it's a little too early to be hitting the adult beverages myself. But just saying.
Okay. There's some of this coming down from there, so we're just reflecting some of these colors that are going to be up in our rocks. We haven't really put any of these colors up there yet, but they will be down here eventually. So there we go. Okay, so let's go ahead and put some of this color up in our rocks now, since we've got it here on our brush or our palette knife.
Yep, as we've told people before, don't bring a brush to a palette knife painting.
It's
not going to go well.
Don't bring a brush to a palette knife fight.
So, you probably said this already, and of course I was paying attention.
Right,
So,
as always.
So palette knives, you've used old credit cards before.
Right.
Things like that. Anything with a sharp edge.
Mm-hmm.
That's easy to wield would be good. So if they don't have palette knives, just go get credit card out of somebody's wallet.
Well, they also they can also use the brush. I showed them how to do the brush with it too. So if they don't have it, they can use the brush. Okay, so I'm adding lighter colors in now. And there's kind of these rock faces that are facing this way. Are getting a lot of light. And then there's a side on this side facing us that is kind of more in shadow. So go ahead and put some of these lighter colors in, and then we're going to go ahead and grab a little bit. Let's go ahead and grab some of the quinacridone magenta there with some of our yellow oxide. Make a really pretty peach color. I'm going to add just a tiny bit of green. Which will kind of neutralize it a little bit so it's not so peach. There we go. Anytime you want to neutralize a color, you can either use like a neutral, brown, burnt umber, burnt sienna, or you can use the opposite color on the color wheel. So red and green are opposite on the color wheel, so if we want to neutralize the red color, we can use a little bit of green, and it'll help with that. And I'm just going to pick out some spots here. To add some of our darker shadows. And it's really not going to be exactly the same as our picture, but we're going to get it as close as we can. This is close to that color that we put along the water here too. Okay, let's grab a little bit more green. I'm going to use that up in here. There we go. All right, let's use some of this color over here on these rocks. Just using the tip of the brush to kind of drag some color onto these rocks. Right down there. And let me grab some burnt umber and some unbleached titanium. I'm just going to use some tan for over here. These are pretty solid there almost. There's not a lot of cracks on this side, so I'm just going to put that on and scrape it down. Yep. Let's put a little of this color over here. Find the back side of some of these. We don't want to darken up the whole area though, so that's one thing you just want to keep in mind. You want to leave some of these little dark crevices showing. Let's go ahead and do this whole area with this. Starting to come together a little bit. Looking closer to what we want it to look like. Grab some white here. I'm going to mix it in. It's got a little bit of blue in there, a little bit of the unbleached titanium, so this is dirty white. It's not quite clean. I'm going to put some really bright faces on this rock here. Just in a few spots. And just kind of setting my brush down and sort of dragging it side to side. I want to define the edge of this cliff face a little bit better. There we go. Now it's really starting to show up. Let's do a little bit of this color right here. And a little bit right here. Put a little bit right here, all the way up here. Just trying to catch the parts of the rock that are really catching that light. Might have gotten a little too much there. Scrape some of that off. If you get too much, just scrape it off. Grab a little bit darker color. I'm gonna use this burnt umber with some blue and light ultramarine or unbleached titanium. We'll just go over the top of some of that I don't want so dark, so bright. Get some yellow oxide. Mix a little bit of this blue in with that. That's this blue-gray color that we had going on. And I want it pretty yellow, so I'll go ahead and keep that yellow. And then let's do some, I'm just going to kind of pull side to side a little bit right here. Get some yellow. Let's put some more yellow down here too. I'm going to grab some yellow, cadmium yellow, Mix that with the yellow oxide. This will really brighten that up. It got a little green in it somehow, but that's all right. Let's put a little bit of that down here. I'm just going to tap it on. Tap, tap, tap. That'll make it look like that kind of algae green that's growing on those rocks down there. And then let's put some of this up here. I like how this turned out. It's really pretty, isn't it?
Yeah, it's looking great.
It's really pretty. Okay, let's put a little tiny bit of this yellow in the water.
I mean, it's lacking flowers, but...
Yeah, I know. I couldn't figure out where to put the flowers. I guess you could stick them in on the rocks. They might.
Mm-hmm. I wonder how you can do splatters, too.
I know. No flowers, no splatters. What's happening?
You must be sick.
Yeah. That's right. Okay. Oh, I like how it's turning out, though. It looks really pretty. All right. Over here, there's a little bit of this yellow, so let's go ahead and put a little bit of that in, especially like right in here. There's some kind of maybe reflecting, or maybe some of this algae is getting up in these rocks here on this shadow side. There's a little bit of it right here. Scrape, scrape, scrape. Scrape, scrape, scrape. I really don't have a lot of paint on my palette knife at any one time, so I think that's the key to being able to control where this paint goes, is to just kind of lay it flat and then scrape it up so that there's just a little bit of paint that you're working with. And that way it won't just go on in big globs and get out of control on you. I think that might be where it can be hard. I definitely could say it would be almost impossible to control where it went to if I had too much paint on my palette knife at any one time. So it's looking good. Let's go ahead and put some of this lighter color on this part of the rock right here. Scrape some up. I'm going to scrape it up near the tip there so I can kind of just draw that down and drag it. There we go. There's a big kind of rock face right here. Coming down. A little bit here. A little bit right here. Okay, it's starting to come together. Let's grab a little bit of white here. I'm going to tap in some white right along that shoreline. I'm just tapping into that paint so that it's kind of stuck to the tip, and I'm just going to kind of tap it. And run it side to side through that wet paint. Tap, tap, tap. And then kind of drag it side to side. I don't want it too thick right here, so I want to keep it pretty controlled. Pretty, pretty, pretty. Sorry, I'm whispering to myself. I like when it starts, looking like something. It's like, it doesn't matter how long you've been painting. It's always a little bit of a mystery how it's going to turn out, Especially for these live shows, you just never quite know what's going to happen. So it's always a bit of a relief at this point when it starts to kind of start looking like what I was hoping it would look like in my brain,
Yeah, but I remember back in the day, you wouldn't do this unless you already painted it once.
Exactly. So I've just kind of learned to sort of trust that even if I do kind of mess it up, I'll be able to sort of pull it out, hopefully. Hopefully fix it.
And you have proven that you can.
Well, hopefully, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and actually I think it's good for the viewers, too, because they see that you don't, do it perfect the first time, but you're able to use techniques and methods to recover. And
well, it's not a science, Painting is definitely an art form. It's a process, and you just kind of have to work it out. You have ideas and you have techniques that you can fall upon, but in the end, it's a matter of doing it and trying it. So. Mixed up some of the phthalo green in with the white and the teal here. So I've got a little bit of more green, light green. I'm going to do that in this area right in here where it's a little bit more of this kind of green-blue color. Yeah, I mean, it could be a little scary. I mean, it doesn't matter how long I've been painting or I really like watching or, going back and looking at quotes from artists who are, accomplished artists like Monet and Van Gogh and Klimt and all these other people that I really admire, and realizing that they had just the same insecurities about their art and about what they were doing as anybody else does. Just because you've got experience with it does not mean that you're, and I don't think you should ever, just be like, I am it. I know exactly what I'm doing. Because that takes the that means that you're doing something that's not challenging you. If you've got it all figured out every time that you sit down to the canvas, you're probably going to be bored pretty quick because you're not challenging yourself. So definitely, YouTube has definitely added some challenges. I don't do portraiture, so this will be interesting. I mean, I've done some, but I haven't, I don't do a lot of it, and I don't consider myself a portrait artist, but yet here we go. We're going to be painting some portraits, and, it may take me twice as long as somebody else who is, comfortable with painting portraits, but we'll get it done. We'll figure it out together. Right, so it'll be an adventure. And it's definitely something that I would not have done years ago. Like you said, I definitely would not have tried to paint a portrait live years ago. I just wouldn't have been comfortable doing that, but all right, here we go. We got ultramarine, and I'm just kind of going over some of these dark areas here, kind of adding in some of that. Trying to keep that original sort of sweeping V motion in some of these, if I can. I like it. Oh, it's really pretty. Now let's use some of this. So now let's use some of this watercolor up in our rocks, and that way they'll kind of, we'll pull these colors up into our rocks, and they'll, I got a little too far over there. Come on.
So in the Brush Guys link, do you have palette knives in there?
I do. I have this palette knife. I think it's the, well, it doesn't say. 858 maybe? I can't tell.
Okay,
There's a photograph of all of them, though. It's the smallest one on my list. So
okay. So down below.
Look at the list. There's not that many on there.
Right, the list is, there's a link down below the video to the Brush Guys.
Right.
You click the link and it takes it to a recommended list from Angela.
Right.
A whole bunch of brushes and the palette knives, and I think also the spatulas, right?
Yes, it does.
Okay, yeah, and 5% off. You buy from them with the code Angela Fine Art. And pretty quick. If they have it in stock, they usually get it to you pretty quickly.
Yeah, they're very fast. Very fast. usually within a few days. Okay, I'm going to make some teal with this unbleached titanium. We're going to use that up here on these rocks. This side we haven't really done a whole lot on this guy. So let's start getting his rocks on. Using some of this teal green. Let's use a little bit of it. I think I just got paint in my hair. I just touched my hair with my hand. It might not be. Well, we'll see. Use a little bit of this green up in here. Just trying to pull some of these watercolors up into our painting, up into our rocks. This is definitely messy. This would have been a good one for our lava soap commercial. If we decide to work with them again this year, we'll have to pick a palette knife painting. Yeah, definitely messy. Gonna be pulling out the soap later. All right, here we go. Let's grab some of that teal. Oh, I got some of that phthalo blue as well. All right, so we're gonna use that over here. A little bit down in here. A little bit down in here. This is our shadow area right here. All right, let's use a little bit up in here for... There we go. And we'll put a little bit on this guy, but there's not as much of the blue on this one. I think it's closer to us, so we're seeing more of the real colors. Okay, let's put some of this blue over here. Wipe that off. I am doing the whole thing with this palette knife. That's okay. It's working, so I'm just gonna stick with it. Let's do a little bit of pink. I'm gonna mix in some of this teal blue so it's not pure pink. And I'm gonna use that. Mix some white with it. It'll make a kind of a pinkish gray color. We're going to use that along this side, this back side of this guy, this rock here. Did not mean to get it that far down, so I'm going to grab some dark and just kind of scrape that back up off of there.
So I posted a picture in the Facebook group yesterday of 2 battery backup power supplies
Yes.
that we got thanks to the Patreon supporters. And got the one in the studio installed this morning. And then tomorrow should be able to get the one in the living room where the router and modem and stuff is, so that if we're streaming and we lose power, hopefully we don't go off air. We can keep going. So
Nice.
it's a special thanks to the Patreon supporters out there. And the Super Chat supporters too.
Yes. Yeah. It's never happened, but it could happen. So
Yeah.
it's just nice to know that we don't have to, if we've got a thunderstorm happening, and, you know, that we don't have to worry about the power going out.
Yeah, the only time things turned off is when I turned them off accidentally with the
Right. That was the one time that,
with the smart things.
yeah, Mark was doing something and he
Hit the wrong
accidentally
button.
turned off my lights in my studio. Okay, so I mixed in Phthalo blue with burnt umber here. And I'm just going back in and darkening up some of these shadow areas here, making them really dark. Scraping it up on the tip of my brush here, or my palette knife here, and just trying to get it in just where I want it. There we go. And this area is definitely dark right in here. So let's put some light color around it. That way it'll make it pop out. So still some of that pink. Add a little bit of purple. There we go. I'm going to use that over here. A little bit in here. Use a little bit of that purple color here. It's a little bit lighter than the purple we used before. So it's kind of a highlight-ish purple color. There's all kinds of fun colors in this. These rocks reflecting all these different blues and purples and things. Alright, let's see. Let's do Unbleached Titanium. I think I'm just going to use that straight, and we're going to add some really bright highlights along this rock face right here. If we put it right up next to that dark area, it'll really make that part stick out. Push that dark area back. Now it looks like a crevice. Got a little too much right there.
So earlier you said that you could be using a brush, but you won't get the same exact effects.
No, it's going to look a little different, but you can get similar, you know. I started out with the brush over here on this little part here to show kind of how it looked.
And they could use other size palette brushes or palette knives, correct?
Oh yeah, whatever they're comfortable with using. Doesn't have to be this exact one at all. I'll just say the smaller one seems to be working pretty well. Okay, so I mixed up some of the burnt umber and I grabbed some of that purple and some of this unbleached titanium here. And use it on this rock face here. Grabbing some of the white. Most of this area is pretty bright right up here. Now I'm just kind of looking at my highlight areas, light and dark areas, trying to make sure I'm getting all of my brightest areas in there. Let's grab the white right here, do some more right along here.
So the difficulty rating on this?
No, I mean, I don't think it's not a particularly difficult drawing, or I think that the palette knife takes a little practice, but don't think it's a particularly difficult subject. I think it's pretty good one to try for a palette knife because it's it's rock, so it doesn't have to be perfect. It's not like you're trying to do somebody's face or something where it's going to be really obvious if you get it off a little bit. You make a little mistake, you just kind of make that a new part of your rock. So yeah, I don't think it's particularly difficult, this one.
So I'm going to put it in the 5 to 6 range.
You think? Okay.
Well, you're not too pretty difficult is.
Okay. I'm going back in here. I kind of covered up too much of that. Okay.
I'm the voice of reason
You're the voice of reason? All right.
when it comes to difficulty levels.
Well, yeah, this wouldn't be my, first painting choice for sure. So, but putting back in some crevices here with that phthalo blue. Let's do the same thing over here. Alright, I think we're about done. What do you think? And we could probably continue to fiddle with this for another hour and keep on, adding more and more layers to it, but I really think it's pretty close. I always see things after we finish, that I would wish that we'd done differently, but that's the nature of painting live. A little more blue in here. Let's grab some of that phthalo blue and teal. What?
Just
Scrape some of it off.
the tapping sound.
I know. Let's go in really dark right here with this purple. Okay, yeah, I don't know what I did up there. I kind of messed that up. Maybe a little bit too much blue. Let's put a little purple in.
I still think that we should have painted this one on location.
But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it'd be pretty hard to do from a boat.
That is not my problem.
Okay.
The sound might be a little difficult, but you know.
Yeah, I think the whole. Okay, so there we go. Let's grab some white and unbleached titanium. We'll come across. There we go. Let's see. A little bit of this blue up in here too. Let's go ahead and put that up there.
You know, I just thought of something. We can do like a live paint meetup with all of our fans. So, but you know, we'd do it like somewhere like Paris or
Somewhere fancy.
somewhere fancy. Yeah.
I like that idea. I don't know how many people show up for it.
You never know. Take suggestions on where people would travel to a flash paint. We're gonna bring back the flash mob thing.
Flash mob, flash paint.
Flash paint. You just kind of walk around whistling like, nothing's gonna happen here, and suddenly whip out canvases and easels, start painting.
Okay, grabbing some burnt umber here. I'm just ignoring that.
Yeah, I know. I picked up on the signals.
Moving on. Sorry, Ann.
No, you're not.
Burnt umber here. Just one last little. Gonna go through and kind of add some dark areas where I've kind of lost them. What?
Hold on, I'll get back
People
to you with
taking
that.
up for you. Huh? What happened there? Oh. Okay. Okay, going some yellow here. Let's do some yellow. I think we're about done. Let's use a little bit of this in the water here, the yellow. Some of the unbleached titanium. Get some highlights on this water here.
Okay, so one of our viewers said that I'm assuming that their husband is napping near them.
Is what?
Is napping near them. And it says that every time you laugh, they laugh in their sleep.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right, guys, I think we're done. I'm happy with that. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Ooh, super chats. Got some super chats. All right.
Yes, we had lots of chats today.
Nice.
3 of them were super.
Nice.
The first one was from Jennifer. No special message, but we really appreciate your support, Jennifer.
Thank you,
And the
Jennifer.
same thing from Kelly. And again, no message, but we do appreciate the support. And then the final one was from Brenda. And she says, for a wonderful teacher who has taught me so much.
Oh,
So thank you so
Brenda.
much for that support.
thank you. Who were the other 2?
Kelly and Jennifer.
Thank you, Kelly, Jennifer, Brenda. Awesome. Y'all are sweet. We really, really appreciate you. It's
Yes, we know how hard it is. And people making money and paying bills and doing
Oh,
everything,
yeah.
and they still
yeah. It.
support. That's awesome.
I feel very
Incredible.
humbled and appreciative. You guys are
Mhm.
awesome. So, thank you, and we'll see you next time. We're going to be here again tomorrow for the Patreon folks. So if you want to check that out, there's still time to get the link for that video on patreon.com/AngelaFineArt. And then, okay, I see one more thing. Sorry.
Ha! I knew you weren't done.
That's all right. That's all right.
Right.
Yeah, I keep this whole one here. I need a brighter highlight right there, but it's not going to let me do it till it's dry. So once that dries, I'm going to add a little bit of this bright white highlight right here, but it's not going to stick right now because it's too thick with paint. So, but yeah, we'll be back Tuesday night for another in our insect series. We're going to do in a butterfly, and then next Saturday we've got our mystery painting. So it'll either be a lion or a desert. Our Patreon folks are voting over on our Patreon page, and they get to choose what we're painting, and we'll be giving it away to one of them after the show. But yeah, but you'll find out next Saturday what we are painting.
Ooh, so you got to tune in and find out what we're doing.
Exactly. It's either a lion or
That's
desert
awesome.
desert landscape, so it'll be fun. All right, guys, see you next time. Give it a thumbs up, like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and we'll see you next time. Bye.